The Data Reshaper is a very unpopular gadget in the finals. No, really, I think I'd see maybe one player a week use it.
Okay.
And I get it, it has some really tough competition as a gadget. Between your meta picks or your easy to use staples, it's daunting for a new player and it's not really appealing to a meta enjoyer. I wanted to see if the Data Reshaper really deserves its low pick rate. Over the past week, I've been using it and experimenting with it, hopefully to finally earn my coveted Data Reshaper PhD. First, some basics on the Reshaper. You point it at a hostile deployed item or piece of decor and turn it into something else. It has 2 charges and will reshape every valid target within 21 meters in a pretty forgiving angle on your screen. It takes 26 seconds to get a single charge back and they don't recharge in parallel, meaning if you use 2 in quick succession, you have to wait almost a full minute to get them both back. The first thing to learn about the Reshaper is that it does not reshape things randomly. An enemy gadget gets turned into harmless decor like a chair, decor gets turned into a random canister, and then canisters always get turned into another canister in a specific order. We'll dive into each of these aspects in detail, starting with enemy gadgets.
Nice, let me reshape that. What the fuck? Holy shit, it's a brawl.
A flagship property of the Data Reshaper is the fact that it just completely counters most gadgets in one click. Some are easier to reshape than others, and some are much more worth your charge than others. Let's subdivide the gadgets you may encounter and whether or not they're worth your charge. The first category is an easy one. It's things you can't reshape. This is any non-deployable or hit scan gadget, but interestingly enough, you can't reshape a zipline and you can't reshape a gateway node. In the second category, we have gadgets you can't normally destroy. These are grenades and the RPG's rocket. If you're quick enough, you can reshape them and turn them into a harmless piece of decor. If you're able to pull this off, it's basically always worth it, and it's the most fun use of the Reshaper. It's just extremely difficult. RPGs, frags, and flashbangs are probably the easiest to reshape in this category. Frags and flashbangs because they bounce a lot before going off, so you have time to reshape them while they're on the ground. And RPGs are more feasible because you can usually tell when a heavy is about to RPG you. The rocket's really fast though, and it's pretty hard to click on. I also think the smoke grenade is in this category, but it's so rare that I don't really have footage of it. Impact grenades like goo, vanish, gas, and pyro are really hard to reshape because you have to catch them in midair. The third category of items are deployable explosives. This is the C4 recharges and mines. These are usually really worth reshaping, and actually have more value to reshape over just shooting because you don't set them off when you reshape them. Using the C4 as an example, you would usually need to shoot it to get rid of it. This explodes it, which would drop the cache box and alert the enemy team. Even using a glitch grenade on a C4 makes a lot of noise, and it's only glitched for 5 seconds while it takes 7 to steal. If you were to reshape it, you silently and permanently disable it. By the time the enemy heavy realizes you're stealing and fails to trigger their C4, they're not likely able to reach you before you can secure the steal. In a similar manner, reshaping any mine prevents it from making a loud explosion, sticking their fire onto the cache out, or unleashing their gas. This also has the added benefit of not giving the enemy a hit marker, and saving you precious bullets, which is really important if you're using something like the revolver. The third category of gadgets is the rest of the deployables. These are all destructible, some more easily than others, and some have more or less value to reshape. Let's go through them quickly. First, proxy and sonar. You should shoot these or let them expire. Next, the turret specialization and the APS turret. Reshape them, especially if they're deployed together, because they have a lot of health and can be really annoying, and you can just completely nullify them with one click. The lockbolt is probably my personal favorite to reshape. I love using the lockbolt, but I hate having it used against me, and completely deleting it immediately always puts a heavy off guard. Next, the dome shield, which, if you can get into the shield quickly, it could be worth reshaping it to end it early, but it's very risky. Just be careful because you can't reshape through the dome. For the healing emitter, it's probably more worth it to just shoot the enemy than reshape this. The barricade is worth reshaping. It's pretty hard to destroy these without using your own team's explosive gadgets, so it's worth using your charge to save your team's explosives. There's also nothing more panic-inducing than your cover vanishing while you're trying to steal, res, or heal. Reshaping a barricade usually leads to a kill. For the jump pad and gravity vortex, I would probably just shoot these. Lastly, the grav cube. This one, I would say, depends. If your teammate's stealing, you might be able to delete the grav cube before they let go of the cash out. When facing gadgets, it can be tricky to know whether you should reshape, fight back, or flee. In general, if you're in a team fight and your team is with you, it's best to get rid of whatever's currently hampering your team. If it's just you in a 1v1 or a 1v2, it's best to either shoot back or flee. It takes a lot of practice to get a good sense of this timing, and I've definitely been overzealous to reshape the dome more than once. It's just kind of too much fun. So that was a lot, but we aren't really close to done. So far, the Data Reshaper hard counters the majority of all gadgets better than any other gadget. This is already pretty amazing and is enough to earn you your Bachelors of Reshaping. But I can hear you already. What if the teams I'm facing brings gadgets that I can't reshape? Let me introduce you to the master level topic, which is the canister cycle. This is the order in which canisters will reshape into other canisters. I made a mnemonic for it. Extra smart, good finals gamers glamorize healing extravagantly. This means that an explosive canister will always turn into a smoke canister, a smoke canister will turn into goo, and so on, looping back with healing canisters turning explosive. In practice, before you memorize this mnemonic, you can just have the order that things reshape in on your second monitor. And yeah, I agree that needing to learn a mnemonic to use a gadget is kind of insane, but you need to work for this PhD. So, what does this cycle really do for you? In essence, it means that you have at least twice as many of a canister that you would actually want.
I'm out of here.
Let me explain.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Say
sir.
you need a bunch of fire barrels to create a nuke on the cash out that you're defending.
More?
Any fire barrels you can find,
you
great, you can
shouldn't
put them
have.
straight onto the cash out. If you find a goo barrel, you can reshape into a fire barrel, and if you're really desperate, you can reshape a smoke twice, once to turn it to goo, and then to turn the goo into fire.
Smile.
So now that C4 that you're having put on the cash out is more of a nuclear sun. You can also place barrels next to your teammates' mines to amplify their power, and get yourself some goo in a pinch to either make a goo pad or get some cover without bringing the goo grenade. You can also do this with the balloons. If your enemies are fighting under a goo canister balloon, you can pop it and reshape them all into fire barrels that rain down on them. Or pop a glitch balloon and rain down healing on your own team. With the Reshaper, you should always be entering a fight with some sort of useful canister to throw for a fast first impact. You're only ever 1 or 2 reshapes away from either an explosive, fire, or glitch barrel, which are all great candidates to just throw as you start a fight. So then, what if there aren't any canisters nearby? Well then there should be plenty of decor to reshape into whatever you like. They get shaped into a random canister, so to maximize the odds of getting what you want, try to reshape as many at once as possible. This is especially doable in office-like areas with a lot of chairs, or in places where there's a bunch of potted plants, like this cactus wall on Bernal. Alright, so this covers the Data Reshaper's use cases. At this point, you probably have a master's degree in reshaping. But to get your PhD, you need to apply your learnings and defend your thesis. Just as a reminder, think of the base use of the Reshaper is to always have the type of canister you want. If your team is bringing gadgets that are amplified by canisters, or the enemy teams bring stuff that you can reshape very well, that's just an added bonus. I personally think the Data Reshaper is a really good third gadget pick for the media. You'll usually always be running a jump pad and probably the defib alongside it. And now everyone's kind of running goo grenades, so you don't really need to bring another goo grenade to the party. Plus, if you're stuck, the Reshaper gives you access to more goo barrels than you normally would have. Any weapon can really work with the Data Reshaper. They'll have different advantages depending on if you have a large mag size or not. If you bring a small mag size weapon like the revolver or the Model 1887, you'll be happy that you can use your Reshaper charge to shoot down a turret or a mine instead of a precious bullet out of your mag. If you have a big mag like the P90 or AKM, it'll be easier to set off your team's C4s that you might have on the cash out, or your team's mines that you might want to amplify with barrels and such. I'll give a special mention to the CL40 because it's so good at setting off fire barrels that having a fire barrel on hand at all times is extremely valuable to this weapon. In terms of specialization, I would use it with the DMAT because I found it the most fun, but they can all work. When using the Reshaper, think of it as an extremely versatile support and utility gadget, both offensively and defensively. On offense, you can quickly nullify the enemy team's defenses for a steal, as well as remove anything they would use to control you. And on defense, you can amplify the effectiveness of your team's explosive gadgets with the right barrel. And now, the moment you've been working for all your finals career. Congratulations on finally getting your Data Reshaper PhD. After all this, do I think the Reshaper deserves its low pick rate? Kind of. It's certainly not an underpowered gadget, and it's not even situational. It's always a very effective tool that can swing a fight. But the sheer amount of knowledge and quick decision making needed to make it work is pretty staggering. But once you get the hang of it, it's extremely satisfying. You are constantly improvising and using the environment and reacting to the enemy's deployables. I really recommend to anyone looking to switch up their finals experience to give the Data Reshaper a good old college try. If only a degree was enough to get you a job. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And come check me out live at twitch.tv/RobbieRigatoni, where I recorded most of this footage.